Hey, welcome back again. Another episode of Open the Book. We're continuing to look through uh, John's first letter. We've got up to chapter 2. I'm going to skip ahead a couple of verses here to verses 15 to 17. And John's going to say so much here, even just in 3 short verses. He's really been trying to encourage his readers here. Look, the gospel is not about just believing a set of ideas that you don't then live out. That actually, he's breaking down this idea. The gospel isn't something you can believe in but not live out. If you're not living it out, you don't believe it. You can't say that you're in the light if you walk in the darkness. You can't say that you walk in the light if you don't love one another. That proves that you're in the darkness. If you're in the light, then you walk in the light. And if not, then you're in darkness. And so John's going to press home this point a little bit again, and he's going to say some really amazing things, especially in verse 16 here, about the whole nature of sin and what it looks like and what's really going on for us. So let's get to read this, and then we'll break it down a little bit further from there. He says, "Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes and pride in possessions, is not from the Father, but is from the world. And the world is passing away along with its desires. But whoever does the will of God abides forever." Let's just take a look at that first verse there, verse 15. Do not love the world. Let's just mark out a couple of things there. Firstly, do not love the world. Let's get that in a different color there. Or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, then the love of the Father is not in him. So the first thing that's happening here that John's doing is he's contrasting two things, the world and the Father. These are two things here that are at odds. You can't love both. It's either one or other, the world or the Father. And again, it's going to encourage us here not to love the world. Now, this is worth thinking about a second. What does John mean here? Because we know in John 3:16, my writing's terrible here because I'm using the mouse. John 3:16, that God so loves the world. There we go. Can't do joined up writing. That's even worse. Oh dear. Like I'm 5. Never mind. There we go. So loved the world that he gave his only Son, not to condemn the world, but so that we would be saved through him. And yet, it says, do not love the world. So, how do we make sense of that? God so loves the world that he gives his Son in order to save people. Yet John says here, don't love the world or the things in the world. And the world is set against the Father. God the Father is two things that are kind of at conflict. Anyone who loves the world, the love of the Father isn't in him. You can't love the two. So what does he mean? Well, I think the problem here might be, in part, separating out the people of the world from the system of the world and the things in the world. I think there can be a temptation wrongly to what does not loving the world mean? Do you basically end up not loving people in the world? You don't love people who don't love Jesus. And what you wind up doing is doing that through being very judgmental, looking down upon people and feeling like your role, being a Christian in the world is kind of constantly delivering a verdict of condemnation against people and what they do. And to be sure, there's an element at times of pointing out sin and pointing out brokenness and pointing people to Jesus instead. But I don't think it's telling us don't love the world, so don't love people in the world. I think it's saying don't love the system of the world. Don't love the way in which the world works. Don't love the message of the world that says, you know what? It's all about you. It's all about you. The most important thing in the world is how you feel. The most important thing in the world is about being true to yourself. The most important thing in the world is being well thought of then by other people, of benefiting yourself, of benefiting your standing and your approval and your comfort. It's all about doing what makes you happy and not judging anybody else. Don't love the way the world works, the message the world gives that's so wrong, that's so flawed, that's so broken. Don't love the world and don't love the things in the world. I don't think it means that you have to not have anything. I don't think John's getting at a sort of asceticism. That is, getting rid of any material wealth, any material goods, living in a sackcloth and not having a home or anything because, riches are so terrible and corrupt. It's the love of money that corrupts. It's not money itself. Actually, it is possible. It's not very easy. And this is one of the things that Jesus teaches and says frequently. It's not easy to have wealth, but it is possible to have wealth and to steward it responsibly and faithfully and generously and not love it, but don't love the things in the world. Why? Because you can only love one or other. You can only love the world or the Father. Jesus taught this himself in his earthly ministry. He said, you can't love God and money. You can't love God and mammon. You can't love God and the way of the world, of everything being about building up yourself, building up your quality and standard of living. Everything is about, I've got some more money and I can spend some more on me. The problem isn't having money. It's what you do with it. It's how you view it. It's how you feel about it. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. But this verse 15 here pairs up with verse 17. Then we'll come back to look at verse 16 in just a little bit, because verse 17 helps to make more sense of it again. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. And the world is passing away. Now, interestingly, one of the things is very similar to what he said a few verses back. He's talked about the darkness passing away and the light coming and being with us now. The darkness is passing away. The world is passing away. Those two things are connected. The system of the world, its views, its economics, its theology, its philosophy, its wisdom, what it loves and values other than God is passing away. The darkness is passing away. The world is passing away along with its desires. Its desires were for the things of the world, for esteem, respect and love in the world. But whoever does the will of God abides forever. That's the second argument that John is pulling in here. The first argument was, anyone who loves the world, love of the Father is not in him. That's argument number one. Don't love the world because you can't love both. You can't love both the things of the world and the way it thinks and feels and believes and preaches to you. You can only either love the world or love God. Can't love both. That's a really terrible B. Dear me, I forgot what I was trying to write there. You can't love both. That's the first argument. Anyone who loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Argument number two is that the things of the world are temporary. And there's an argument here about temporary. And eternal. So the first argument was, you must love God, not the world, because you can only love one. Okay, so you better be making sure that it's God that you love, rather than the world, because you can't love both. So if you love the world, you don't love God. Can't love both. But secondly, there's an argument about what's temporary and what's eternal. Everything in the world and its desires are passing away. They're fleeting. They're missed. They're here one minute, they're gone the next. I mean, surely that's what we're seeing at the minute, isn't it? As we live in lockdown amidst the coronavirus, there's so many things of the world, its loves, its desires, the things in which people have rooted their identity and their hope and their security, finances, jobs, their hobbies and travel and all different things like this that now are completely thrown up in the air. They're passing. Whereas if you put your love and your focus into God, you abide forever. You don't invest into things that are passing away. But you put your investment into what abides forever. You actually see a return on it. So there's two key arguments for what John is saying here. Don't love the world, love God instead. And there's the two arguments that you can't love both God and the world. And the world is temporary, God is eternal, and you will live eternally if you trust and believe in him. So there's two arguments there. And then in the middle, John does something really important here of showing, what would stop you from loving the Father and maybe lead you towards loving the world? Sin. And John, in just one verse, does so much to try and explain what this looks like. It's amazing. In just one verse here, he sums up the whole essence of it. And he's talking about that sin that would pull you into loving the world and away from loving the Father. He's going to put it in this phrase here: all that's in the world. And before we get to the middle bit, let's see this. It's from the world. It's in there and it's from it. It's its own story. The message of the world, its philosophy, its belief that everything really is just about you and how you feel and maximizing your comfort, your identity, your being a true, authentic expression of yourself, of you believing what makes you feel good. Whatever seems right to you must be right, because the worst thing in the world is to not be true to yourself anymore. That is what is in the world, and it's come from the world. That's the world's interpretation and version. And look at this is an extended argument then, is it's not from the Father. That's not the message of God. The message of God is not be true to yourself. Do what is the most authentic expression of you. Be who you are. Do what makes you feel good. It's all about what you believe and what you feel about yourself and how you stand in the world. No, it's not at all. It's in the world, it's from the world, it's not from the Father. Actually, the most ultimate and important thing in life is how we're viewed by God, our Maker, the one who has made us in his image, made us to be his people, made us to be his children, made us to enjoy life. And in enjoying life, to bring glory to the God who's made it all and put us here and made us to enjoy life, made us to enjoy life in all of its fullness. That our life is actually to be about expressing worship to God, of finding our identity in God, that I find my security and my hope in that I'm a child of God. My identity isn't in my work. It's not in my salary level. It's not in my appearance. It's not in my respect in the world or anything else, or success or acclaim or what have you. It's in that I'm a child of God, and that's unchanging, unwavering. And then I'm made to be his image bearer and to enjoy life and to give glory to him in all that I do. And so it's about what he says of me. And so the most important thing for me, because I know that I'm broken and I know that I'm flawed and I know that I'm tempted to wander away from him and rebel against him, that needs to be covered and that needs to be addressed and changed. I need to be made right before him. I need that relationship restoring. I need that sin addressing and dealing with. The times in which, rather than using my life as an expression of worship of him and to him, of enjoying him through all the good things of life, instead I'm tempted to worship the things of life above God. That I need to turn from that. That I need to be reoriented to look back to God the Father. And the most important thing for me is that happening is my standing and my identity in God being addressed. That's the most important and pressing need for me. And then John gives us here 3 expressions that explain what sin looks like. Because sometimes we hear that word, and I'm not sure whether it always hits us really exactly what that means. And certainly in the media around us, it's been a term that's been misunderstood and misused. So, you'll commonly see a term like sin used for something like, a chocolate bar advert. There was a period where Magnum ice creams were marketed with these sort of elaborate TV adverts about it being sinful. It's about something far more fundamental and deeper and more significant than that. That just really downplays it. And it just shows that it's a difficult term to understand. But John gives us 3 images here. 1, the desires of the flesh. 2, the desires of the eyes. And 3, pride in possessions, or pride in life, or the pride of life, as it could be as well. Desires of the flesh, desires of the eyes, pride in possessions, or pride in life. What does that mean? Desires of the flesh. This is things that make me feel good. Desires of the flesh, of my body. And we see that. Again, maybe think about adverts and the way in which products are sold to us, and how that actually all that's in the world, the things of the world, is sold through these sinful desires. Desires of the flesh, things that make me feel good. Buy this clothing and it will make you feel $1 million. You will feel great. Drink this drink and you will feel good. Go traveling to this place and you will feel good about life in that moment. This is where you need to find that good feeling. is by buying this, by eating this, by drinking this, by going there, by being with this person. This thing will make you feel good. It could be a million different things that might do that. It might be money, it might be power, it might be sex, it might be material goods. Things from which you are trying to feel good, trying to feel alive. Desires of the flesh, that we're just desperate to feel good. And so we look anywhere other than God to do it. It's not that the desire is wrong to feel good. Desire is right. It's where you look to fill it. And you look to those things in the world to do it, you'll know that they don't satisfy. The drink is never enough, and it wears off. That good feeling goes. And you're left with a choice then. Do you either then just sort of reminisce about the time that you felt good, but you don't now, and romanticize that? Do you constantly strive to recreate it? I got to do it again because I got to feel good again because the feeling is gone. Or do you actually then also have those moments of deep regret that you realize it didn't actually make you feel good? You thought it would. You did it to try and make yourself feel good, but you don't. You're left with three things. You either reminisce about times that you felt good, but you don't at the minute. You either try to recreate it because you think, oh, I got to do it again because I need to feel good again. Or you just regret because you never felt good at all. And you just go through a cycle. So firstly, there's that desire to make me feel good. And the point being that I try to make myself feel good apart from God and worshipping him. So the desires of the flesh. Secondly, it's the desires of the eyes. And this is maybe easier to spot. What it's about is things that look good. I think it's about looking to other things and feeling that just looks so good. And putting things in a place in your life where they begin to sort of take over and to control you. It's the desires of the eyes. It's things that look so good, so important, so special, so meaningful. And again, it could be all manner of things that look good. It could be the new car. It could be the new house. It could be a new relationship, a new partner that looks so good. It could be a new job, a new position. Well, that just looks so good. If only I could have that. If only I could have that thing, then I'd really feel worth. And do you see what you're doing to yourself in that? Aside from the fact that, on the one hand, you're sinning against God because by nature you're saying, this thing looks so much better than God. One of the ways that sin is described elsewhere in the Bible is that it's about exchanging the truth for a lie, and it's about worshipping creation rather than the creator. It's the things that God has made, the things that God gives us are better than him. Do you see what you're doing as well, though? Because on the one hand, it's devaluing God, and that's a problem. Valuing the thing that he has made and given above him. But number two, you're devaluing yourself. I will be worthy. I will feel alive. I will have a life that's meaningful if I can have that thing, if I can have that person, if I can have that job, if I can just have that house, if I can just have that lifestyle that looks just so good, then I'll feel like my life is worth living. Do you see that it devalues God, but it devalues you? It dehumanizes you. Desires of the eyes. And thirdly, pride in possessions or pride of life. It's that sense of, I want to feel like I'm somebody. I want to feel like I'm important. I want to feel like I matter. Pride of life. I want to feel pride in my living. It's things that make me feel good. Desires of the flesh. It's the desires of the eyes, things that look good. And it's things that make me feel like I'm somebody. Things that make me look good. I want to feel like I'm important, like I'm special. Everybody has that feeling, don't they? You want to feel like your life matters, like it means something, like you have some sort of legacy that when all's said and done, people might remember you. All the things of the world that tempt us away from God have those three pulls. Things that make me feel good, desires of the flesh. Things that look good, desires of the eyes. Things that make me feel good. Or make me look good, sorry. Things that make me feel like I'm somebody. Pride in life, pride in possessions. Encourage you to see if you can spot some of those things in adverts, because I guarantee in so many adverts, that's exactly what you'll see. One of those three, or maybe a couple of them in combination, are being used to sell you something. And to begin to detox yourself from constantly being pulled into that. And look how this has always been the essence of sin and the struggle and the temptation away from God. Look, Genesis chapter 3, in the aftermath of Adam and Eve falling, look at what happens. The serpent said to the woman, "You will not surely die, for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." Now notice the reaction of the man and the woman here. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, it was a delight to the eyes, and was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate, and she also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate. All three of those things. There's no coincidence that John describes sin in this way. Lust of the flesh, things that make me feel good. Lust of the eyes, things that look good. Pride of life, things that make me look good. You see that happen. There's number one. Saw the tree was good for food. This is going to make me feel good. It's good for food. This is going to make me feel good. And certainly, food and drink can be a way of the lust of the flesh operating within us. That I eat poorly, I eat too much, I eat not enough, all for the same reason, oddly enough. I want to feel good. I want to feel good so I don't eat, because I want to feel thinner. I want to feel good so I overeat. I want to feel good so I comfort eat. When I'm sad, when I'm stressed, when I'm angry, I do that to try and manage my emotions, rather than trying to deal with that and to process that. I don't say that to criticize or judge anyone. I just say that's probably what's going on underneath it. That there's something much more soul level that's going on. Sees that the tree was good for food. It's about her feeling good. And Adam too. Number two, we see it here. It was a delight to the eyes. It looked good. Suddenly she's looking at it there and, man, it looks good. It looks as if I don't have this. Oh man, can I really be happy? This looks good to my eyes. And thirdly, we see it was desired to make one wise. This is going to make me look good. Pride of life. This is going to make me look wise. I'm gonna be someone of real prominence here. People are going to look to me for advice here. This is going to make me look good. Do you see? It's all those same things. Desires of the flesh, things that will make me feel good. Desires of the eyes, things that look good. And pride in life or pride in possessions, things that make me look good. It's the essence of sin. And so John's encouragement, well, firstly, his challenge is, look, all these things are in the world. We know that. We see that. Secondly, they've come from the world. The world's created that narrative, not God. It's not true. It doesn't deliver. Thirdly, it's not from the Father. And so his encouragement is, come back to the first and the closing verse there. Do not love the world or the things in the world. Because if anyone loves the world, the love of the Father isn't in them. You can't love both. You must love God. Because this broken system that does nothing but harm, never delivers on any of those promises, only leaves you feeling broken and used and dirty and stupid. You can't love both. You can only love either the world or God the Father. And the world is passing away along with its desires, but whoever does the will of God abides forever. And do you see that? Everything that the world promises, that you may feel good, that look good, that may make you feel good and feel like somebody, are passing away. They don't deliver. And it's really darkness, as John has said in previously. Whereas God offers you what abides forever. Look to him, because what he gives abides forever. And indeed, you will abide forever with him. Hope that's an encouragement for you. Thanks for watching along, and I'll hopefully see you next time.